real spiel. The real spiel is a lifestyle show focused on love, God, and black empowerment. And definitely used to be a basketball show too, and we're trying to get back to the basketball, but these people just won't act right. But I'm going to be having Clarence Jones come on Friday, and if you don't know who Clarence Jones is, Clarence Jones was the lawyer and speechwriter for Martin Luther King. He is basically one of the last infrastructures that we have of the old civil rights, that old civil rights. But I want to talk really quickly, what is the new civil rights? Yeah, we have some folks that, you listen to me speak to, Reverend Al Sampson, and Clarence Jones, and actually you haven't heard me speak to him, but I speak to him myself. Even people like Rabbi Fume are those folks are old enough and experienced enough to give us basically a great chronology on what the civil rights movement was and how we activated our rights at that time. But what I'd like to talk about, and saying good morning to everybody, good morning to all my subscribers. Yes, I'm going to a dirty place, so I'm wearing dirty stuff, so please don't judge me. I ain't wearing my good clothes to where we're going. We have a construction site of this new corporate building, and I don't show up there looking good if I know I'm gonna be getting my stuff dirty. So as bougie as it's gonna be. But on my way there, I just definitely wanted to have a conversation about what was the new civil rights. And you might think to yourself, what's this guy talking about? Black people have civil rights. Black people always talk about civil rights this and civil rights that. And they've had it. They're always talking about something that they already have, and they're talking about now reparations, and they're not going to get it, and all these conversations that for a lot of communities outside of ours are quite antiquated, and they don't want to hear it anymore, and they think that we're basically belly aching for something that we actually already have. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's give all those folks who say that black folks and individuals of color, listen to all the terminology, BIPOC people, the Negro, the African American, people of ethnicity, etc., all of those adjectives used to describe a people that have been have been robbed of their actual ethnicities, their actual culture and heritage. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt, right? That's point really number one. Point number one is it doesn't matter what you say in respect to what your colloquialism of who we are is. The facts of the matter is that we still have to describe ourselves by shades. We still have to call ourselves people of color. We still have to call ourselves Africans in America. We still are using or have a stigma of terms like the Negro, like black. So nothing can escape. And there's another term too. Another big term that I like to discuss. Aboriginal. Either you're the original or you're aboriginal. What is it? Aboriginal or original? There's no such thing as an aboriginal. You're either the original or you're not. You're either the original or you're not. Why don't we just call folks the originals? Right? But that hits you too hard in your head. You call people. If you're a colonizer and you just call people the originals, it's too clear. It's too glaring a fact that they are the originals, right? They should refer to us as the originals, right? Shouldn't they? I mean, most white scholars, most white anthropologists will say that life began in Africa. They'll say something like that, right? Some of them will nuance it and say life began in the Mesopotamian basin. Some will say life began in the Middle East area. Some will say that. But the facts of the matter is that if life began in any of those places, we are the original man. We are not aboriginal. We are original. We are the original, right? The original man. even that terminology, I tell you right now, it would be like pulling teeth to get it. So we started first in branding, or calling us the collective us's that are not we are not one. We are not monolithic. We are not one thing. A black person, to use the terms that they use from the west of Africa, is not the same as a black person from the central area of Africa. It is not the same from a black person from the east of Africa. Not the same as a black person from the Middle East. We are ethnically different people, but we are called black because really they don't understand where the originals came from. So, but that's not even a big part of it. The next part of it really is, how do those people actualize society in a place where, and talking about, when I say a place, I'm talking about North America, South America, Europe, just those three. North America, South America, Europe. How do we actualize civilization, nation building in societies that still remember very clearly and still have the mechanisms of supremacism, of Euro supremacism ingrained in their cultures? How do you do that? Good to hear from you. Oh, bless you, bless you, bless you. You know, bless you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Black is a photo, what is it? A photo aphagic cell description. Yeah, I hear you. I'm gonna look better because my eyes ain't good when I'm driving. But God bless everybody this morning. How do we actualize a group of individuals that still have laws even on the books some places that you can't hang out? Things that have not been, you know, summarily overturned and said, hey, this is terrible. And not only is it terrible, we have to go out of our way to fix it. One of the things that is very hypocritical about North America, South America, even in the Caribbean, is that it is very clear. It's very clear that 60s and 70s women's rights were things that, you know, it was a travesty of how, you know, women were able to live out their lives within legal civilization. So, for example, you know, you have laws on the books in places like Maryland, right, that say you cannot rape your wife. She's your wife. She can't be raped. Because she's your wife, it's impossible to rape her. Still on the books in Maryland, right? Still on the books in Maryland. You have scenarios that family law has overturned culture to the point where they have given deference to women in the areas of law and areas of possession of their children, child support, all these various things. To the point where in Canada, sorry, I have folks trying to blow me up, and I'm not. I gotta reconnect. Sorry, I have to reconnect. Somebody just trying to call me, and they keep calling. I know they keep calling. To the point that, you know, in Canada, even a woman who just has a boyfriend. There was a court case the other day. She had a boyfriend for a few years. The boyfriend kept his own house. She kept her own house. But the boyfriend was very wealthy. And she came to the court and said, listen, I deserve support after we've broken up because he gave me a lifestyle. Sorry. So he gave her a lifestyle that she was used to, and so she went to the court and said, hey, I deserve to be maintaining the same lifestyle even though he wasn't married to her, even though he never could live with her. They did that here in Canada. So I'm saying that it's hypocritical to identify that women have been treated poorly and that the courts now have switched over to be predominantly on their side in the areas of family law, but in the areas of things like reparations and things like systemic racism, institutionalization of black poverty, black criminality, destabilization of macro black economies. Those things have never been legislated to fix. And unfortunately, that's what the new civil rights is forced to look like. It's forced to look like an advocacy group of individuals who are basically saying, hey, you know what, you said all the right things, you voted in a black president, you said sorry, you said it's unfortunate, it's terrible that these things have happened, you've made some of us millionaires, even some of us billionaires, by buying our stuff, listening to our music, but at the end of the day, it's still not enough. And this is the hard part about the new civil rights. The new civil rights movement is really a demographic of people who said everything that you've done from the day that Lincoln freed the slaves to today is still not enough. That's the hardest conversation to have with those communities. And to look at people and say, hey, listen, you have built generations of wealth in just a short period of time. You've built generations of wealth that we can never catch up with. And these are things that Dr. Claude Anderson talks about, right? And listen to me talking, because just the other day I talked about there's a billionaire, the richest black man in America, and I just talked about him the other day, and it's like, how do those two things exist? How do you talk about that you guys don't have proper civil rights when you just were talking about this multi-billionaire black man in America? Because the exception doesn't validate the rule. The exception, doesn't make it a rule. I'll say it like that. You can't look at the exception and say, hey, because this guy has achieved, that means all of you have achieved. That's not true, and we know that's not true. We know we can't compare those things. We know we can't put those things together. You can still go look at HBCUs and say HBCUs are still not on par with other universities. You say, well, maybe they don't run their businesses properly. Maybe they're stealing. Maybe there's misappropriation of funds. Maybe black people don't know how to run universities. You can say all that nonsense, but the facts remain that there's still a disparity when it comes to things that are so-called black community things, and when it comes to things of other cultures. Well, you don't expect everybody just to pour out money and give it to you. That's what happened to the Jewish community. From Auschwitz to today, the Jewish community has been flooded with billions of dollars of support from the US, billions of dollars of support from Germany, okay? Support from so-called nonprofit organizations, okay? Institutions of wealth that have been collected through either appropriation or through slavery that they have profited from, usury that they have profited from, insider trading from the Napoleonic age to today that they have profited from. All these things that have given them preferential aspects of their wealth systems, banks, nepotism, okay, unions, all these things that they have profited from. So we're not trying to take nothing away. We're just saying we deserve it too. We know when you use people like the black billionaire I brought up the other day, we can say, hey, okay, we know we have people who know if we give them these resources, if we give them power, they know how to run it. They know how to create nations. They know how to be nation builders. These are the things that I'm talking about. The new civil rights movement, and it's basically, it has to be a black separatist movement. This is not a new conversation. This is something that was talked about in the 60s, but who's talking about it today? Individuals in South America, black people in South America, in places like Argentina, who are saying that, you know what, their true liberty has to be seized because the infrastructures that are in place will never allow them to be a nation, never allow them to prosper, never allow them to be equal. A black separatist movement, and that's all it is not a militarized scenario. It is a conversation of reality that allows people to realize that within the confines of colonization in North America, specifically in the Americas, in the United States of America, It is impossible to be equal. It is not possible. This is why you've been screaming and crying and marching for so many years. Because what you're asking for is you're asking for an enemy to treat you fairly, even after the enemy has said, I no longer want to be your enemy anymore. I know I'm fine. I'm not going to consider myself your enemy. I'm not going to treat you unfairly. But there's been such a disproportion of advantage that is impossible. It is impossible to ask somebody, you need to give me back the land that your great-great-grandmother stole from my great-great-grandfather, and now your children need to go outside and my children need to come in. It's impossible to tell somebody that. It's impossible to tell somebody, listen, all these aboriginal lands that you now have built condominiums, and I don't want a land acknowledgement. I want the land. It's impossible to say it, right? Imagine the aboriginals, the originals, coming to them and saying, hey, we want all the land, all this land that you're on, we want it all. Oh, well, it is your land. We recognize it's your land. We honor the treaties. We know it's your land. No. That's nice. I want it all. I want all you people off. I want you to move all your people out. We're taking our land back. It's impossible. They're not going to let that happen. They're not going to go that far. So what I'm saying is that without a separatist movement, without a movement that says, hey, true civil rights, the new civil rights must be a scenario where we build our own, fairness is something that probably will never take place. And this is the hard part about even having conversations about our folks in Dimona, right? In Dimona, they're asking, how are you? Isaac, how are you? Regards from Germany. Love you, brother. God, thank you very much. Exception versus the rule. Thank you. In Dimona, they're asking for a very right-wing group of individuals to treat them fairly. They're asking for a court system that is being built to not treat them fairly, to say treat us fairly. They're asking for a culture that's built to not identify their validity, to say treat us as valid. How can it happen without God? But it's not going to happen with the rationale of human minds. It has to be, they have to be forced, they have to be shamed into it. This is why Dimona is not just a issue of rule of law. For those who don't understand that Dimona situation, there's lots of videos I've posted, myself and Ashriel and others have posted about these videos. Look down, you'll see a lot of videos I've posted about that. This is not a system of simply just a rule of law. It must be international shaming of the Israelis to say that you are operating as an apartheid regime, you are operating as a despotic government, you are operating in tyranny towards black people. I listened to Netanyahu eloquently have a discussion with a gentleman on social media about how he wants to make sure, his number one plan is to make sure that Iran never becomes a nation that has the capacity to have a nuclear arsenal or a nuclear weapon. He's going to make sure of it. He'll use any force necessary to make sure that that takes place, because he truly believes in his heart that Iran's intention will be to wipe Israel off the planet. And he will do everything in its power. Netanyahu is having such a conversation, such a passionate conversation about eliminating Iran as much as Iran is eliminating them. But Netanyahu has failed to recognize who else has he been eliminating in his own country. People who have come there to support the same cause. His mind isn't there. His mind is on other things. His mind is distracted with American politics and distracted with Russia and Ukraine. His mind has nothing to do with his own citizenry who does not look like him. His focus is not there. And I don't know if the focus of his government will ever be there. So, can we say to those in Israel, you guys have to form a separatist movement? They're not even, they would never dare whisper that out their mouth. They can't. But the facts of the matter is, a separatist movement might be the only thing that allows them to have any say, you know. Netanyahu spoke very strongly against Hamas, and whatever you want to call Hamas, they are now part of the legal government of Israel. They've legitimized themselves. They've legalized themselves. They've put themselves in the areas of validity, forcefully. Say what you want about them, they're government now. They're part of the actual culture of the place. So I don't know what to continue to tell us in respect to looking out for all these things. I don't know how we can continue to listen to all these great ideas. Oh, shakalaka. This guy wants to kill us. Fire engine made me go over a piece of road that I did not want my car to drive over. Yikes. My tires okay. So Netanyahu, I don't know if he's going to be the solution for Dimona. I don't think Dimona is his focus. I don't think. I know. I know Dimona is not his focus. He did not come back into politics to deal with domestic issues in Israel. He came back into politics to deal with international issues in politics. And if you listen to him talk, he's a very bright guy. He'll tell you straight up. I'm answering your question, but I'm not answering your question. He'll tell you straight. I'm answering your question, but I'm not going to really answer your question. So, anyways, folks, please look out for the conversation that I'm going to have with our dear friend Clarence, and it's going to be quite a day. It's quite a day type of conversation about it. Bless you. Listen to everything that I'm saying. Take it in, and let me know what you think. All right. This is Del K. Burton. This is the Real Spiel, and I'm out. I'm at this job site right now, so I gotta go into this construction site. That's why I'm so dirty. So don't talk about me, because I know some of y'all, you like to talk, but I'm dirty, and we're gonna talk earth, spirit, earth, wind, spirit, fire. Bless you guys. The Cyclopses are still in the building, and we'll talk later.